trying a new way of doing things rather than holding my phone like this, which seems nice. Yeah, it's Christmas Eve and I had like a lot of very intense days and just had a few disasters and then things that aren't actually disasters but I thought were disasters, one of which was not a disaster but a disaster that isn't a disaster but you think is a disaster feels the same way either way. So there were two of those. One was that I thought the pharmacy for me to pick up my meds to carry me through, and I'm talking about like Ritalin and clonazepam primarily and Zopiclone, was shut, and it wasn't. It was just, anyway, whatever. And I was literally crying outside the pharmacy last night. Going, what am I gonna do? Anyway, it wasn't closed as I found out today, and anyway, my amazing GP came through to me because and wrote me an emergency prescription for a pharmacy that was more open. Well, was like I could see was open. And then another disaster was that I thought I had locked myself out of. I thought I'd forgotten, because I've been doing a lot of security upgrades for my phone, and I can't afford a fucking tech way. And I've been changing passwords and stuff, and I thought I'd changed one of my phone passwords, access codes to get into the phone. And I was fucking freaking out because I kept locking myself out for longer and longer each time. Like, I think the longest I got was 6,500. It's like, fuck. And it turned out that I hadn't actually changed my password. I'd changed something else. And that was fucking incredible. That was yesterday. And I was just... like, no one I deal with... Nobody, like, everything's so segmented, and I hate to use the term siloed because that's such an overused term, and I think it's just lost, the impact of what it means. But there is no holistic approach to social services, and the main thing that I find so difficult is for people to go, yes, I know that you have autism, I know you have ADHD, I know you've got PTSD, I know that you've got active acute stress for which you are accepted by the Ministry of Social Development as qualifying for supported living payments, aka the more appropriate term but now dated, the invalid's benefit with no work capacity. Yes, I know all of those things, and yes, you do appear to have some brain damage in some parts of your brain that makes you your brain, that part of the brain, the age of a 75-year-old. But let's just pretend that you don't, just for now, so you can explain to us what's going on, and you can do all these things for yourself. And it's like, why do people not understand that disabilities are there all the time, including when you're trying to get help for them? And the more you go through, and for me it's been 2 years, almost exactly 2 years now, well, that 23 months, it doesn't get any better, and I'm not getting any better at explaining it. in some ways I am. In some ways I am getting better at explaining it because I do a bit of trial and error, and I try to keep it simple. Like, please don't participate in the telling of my story. You've known me for 5 minutes, I've known myself for 46 years, and for the 25 months that I've been going through this, you haven't been here. And it's a very universal human attitude, and I know that I used to be like that too. And I was thinking about just yesterday actually how I was doing it even when I was going through it in the early stages, and I was so resentful of people telling me how to suck eggs when I'd already sucked the eggs, of course. Like, why do people think that, and myself included, why do people, without the training or the experience to teach them otherwise, what evolutionary purpose, evolution doesn't have a purpose, but what evolutionary advantage is it to assume that everybody else is a fucking moron who's tried nothing to solve their own fucking problems? Why can't someone just say what their problems are and then you go, oh, that sucks, rather than, oh my god, you should go to your GP. Like my lawyer said, and it's like I wrote to her and a bunch of other people, including police prosecution and various court addresses whose acronyms I can only guess at. That, you know, seeing my GP about my distress over my situation, I quote almost verbatim, it's an idea so off the wall and so, you know, so genius that I've been doing it since February, which is getting on for a year ago, you know, maybe 10 months ago. It's like, why do people who are not in any way any sort of authority on the topic assume that people don't see the most obvious person about your fucking problems? Oh, thanks. It never occurred to me to see my GP. But then on the other hand, it's like, well, the reason that I don't see my GP about it is because she's not a human rights lawyer. She's a physician, and what can she do? And the people who tell me to go and see my GP or to go to mental health services or even just get a referral to see a counsellor, for fuck's sake. A counsellor. Not a trauma-informed therapist, just a counsellor, for fuck's sake. It's like, why do you think that any of these people are first people that I haven't thought about seeing or haven't seen myself? In fact, I've been fucking sectioned to Hillmorton, a psychiatric hospital, which was formerly Sunnyside. And people go, well, have you thought about ringing the 0800, you know, mental health emergency service? It's like, I've been in Hillmorton Psychiatric Hospital. What do you think an 0800 number mental health nurse is going to add to the situation? And I was discharged, as I keep saying to people, I was discharged from Hillmorton, not because I was no longer suicidal, but because there's no mental health problem. And by no mental health problem, I don't mean the kind of you know, the fallacy of equivocation, which is a linguistic fallacy, which is where we can kind of do a double meaning on, well, it's kind of almost a bait and switch. Not quite a Mott and Bailey, where he'll go, well, it does have a mental health impact, but it's like, Yeah, but mental health services don't deal with the impacts of mental of the impacts of the mental health impacts of abuse in the community. They don't. That's not within their power, and you can't just keep sticking band-aids on. So you can't spend time in a mental health hospital, not anymore, because you've got problems that you need to talk through. Partly because talking through them is really exhausting. It's beyond my broken brain to keep talking. I did sign up with a counsellor whom I chose very carefully, and I just realised I don't fucking have time to tell my story to a counsellor to get them up to speed enough with my very complicated story, and also try to do the same thing with lawyers for my fucking criminal trials and trying to go to the police about the people who are abusing me. It's like, I don't want to talk to people. That's not something. I don't want to talk to people about my problems for the sake of talking. I've been doing that for 2 years, and the responses I get are 95% of the time total bullshit, and about 80% of those times positively harmful, like re-traumatizing and also increasing the trauma by telling you that abuse is in my control, and I'm overreacting or I'm misreading the situation or whatever. It's like, well, you know, they're entitled to their opinion, but that does not mean that those are the right people for me to go to see to solve my problems. So the people who are the right people to see who solve my problems are the people who are telling me to go somewhere else, and that's the police, and that's lawyers and judges. It's like, no, the problems that I'm facing are all offences against various acts of parliament, including criminal offences, and it's your job to take those away from me. I've tried various metaphors, and one that had moderate success at one point was, someone being sort of, I've got in my mind's eye because I've been quite obsessed with, bear tag and bear encounter videos, like near misses and stuff. Not anything gruesome. I watched a horrible bear movie. It was fucking harrowing, man. I think I suffered as much as the guy who got eaten alive from his tent watching it, which was based on a true story. But like, I do take a real interest in bears and bear attacks, and I'm like, because bears are so fucking huge. Even a black bear an adult black bear is, well, I mean, I don't know, there's not a lot of data about their attacking humans, let alone eating them alive, because they don't tend to do that. But the brown bears, which there's no different, like grizzlies, Kodiaks, there's another one, I think. Whatever they are, they're all brown bears. And brown bears and black bears are two different species, but they're not distinguished by colour, they are distinguished by phenotype, and phenotype, the colour aspect of the phenotype is of some use in distinguishing that you really don't want to rely on it. You want to look at the snout shape and the ear shape. You want to look for the humpback. You want to look at size. You want to look at paw type. And but the thing about brown bears is that they will absolutely eat prey alive, because they don't have to kill you first. They don't have to kill the prey first. There's no benefit. They're just so fucking powerful, like a lion or often, or maybe more like a jaguar or a leopard. The smaller big cats will will give a fatal sort of jugular wound, because it doesn't really want its prey fighting. But a bear doesn't have to worry about that. It's just eating. I saw a little bit of a clip of it one. Oh my god, just eating like a deer for what looked like a long time, and I was just like, skip. And so this metaphor I had is like, before you offer me like counselling, could you get the beer off me first, and then we can like look at rehab after that? Like the most therapeutic therapy, the most therapeutic intervention that someone being eaten alive by a bear could have is get the bear off me. Okay. Once the bear's off ya, then we can look at stemming blood flow, primarily splinting, broken bones, taping up some gashes, getting you out of the fucking forest, getting you to a hospital. I mean, there are so many fucking things that you do before you start to rehabilitate the person. You first want to fucking stabilise them, right? You want to get the pressure off them. Like, why the fuck? I mean, and I've often used the I've used the metaphor a bit too literally in one part of it by saying, getting a counsellor or a psychiatrist, and while someone's being eaten alive, going, this must be very challenging for you right now. But really what it would be is like a paramedic coming in and, like trying to stitch up fucking gashes while the bear's still ripping more gashes or eating his intestines or something. You know what I mean? Like, can we get out of the idea that this is a mental health problem or a problem that is subject or particularly responsive to therapeutic measures, whether those are mental or physical, because that carries through to the metaphor as well. And just realise that the problem is primarily one of external etiology. And once that external... I mean, it's just fucking amazing how well people do when something that's eating them alive is fucking hauled off their fucking case. Like, all kinds of weird shit turns up on my YouTube feed, and I watched, oh my god, I don't even know, like, who are these people and why I really hope this is in proportion to how they live the rest of their lives. But a close-up of someone removing fucking parasites from a fucking hornet, and like pulling out these big, like, massive parasites, like for the size of a hornet, it would be like probably a good sort of like 8% of its, mass. These parasites, these like wormy parasites, and it's like, like, why would you bother, like, putting giving the hornet water and sugar and fucking whatever it wants and whatever it's gonna parasites in it? Like, that's what's going on for me right now, and it's just fucking driving me crazy. And it's like, You know, I've spoken to my doctor, and because people keep going, talk to your doctor, and it's like my doctor has done everything she possibly can, and at the moment all she's able to do, having tried various social support agencies, which for various reasons they do not work in New Zealand, they don't work, and everybody knows that, because I mean, I'm now exist in a kind of part of society in which I'm either rubbing shoulders with other victims of the community. Um, I don't want to say society, because even if it's correct, it gives the wrong impression, but in the community, which just means that I'm just shat on by every Tom, Dick and Harry who comes along. And it's a real, it's a very real and very well documented and very well established phenomena. It's absolutely true. It's called serial victimisation. And it works in much the same way that the broken windows policing concept works, if you look up that theory. And it also works very much like you know the the predator picking off the weakest member of the herd. It works like that. So it's not a conspiracy. It's just that it's predators, human predators. They don't. It's not a Togs undies situation. They're always predators, but the Togs are shown to be undies when they're dealing with someone who they know is helpless and repeatedly helpless and very badly medically damaged, and it's not mental health. Mental health is not even, it doesn't even quite make psychiatry, and yet it's not even psychiatry. It's into neurology, and it's into cardiology, right? This is not something for a counsellor. Stress is supposed to be, we're supposed to release stress hormones in situations that really require some really full-on action, and sacrifices are made in that process. I mean, stress will turn off certain functions, mental and physical, just to get you the fuck out of the situation, right? I mean, one of them is that your extremities will lose blood as the blood is pulled into your core to protect your internal organs, and that happens in a panic attack or that kind of thing, and that's why you get shaky and all that kind of thing. So you're making sacrifices, but your body is doing whatever it can to protect itself. But when that happens for a very long time, on and on and on, you get physically damaged. So a mental health nurse, I mean, I've got a high stroke risk now, and I've had an MRI of my brain. Like, I don't know what the fuck is wrong with people, but no one is fucking listening. This is physical. It's causing me a physical disease number of physical disease processes, and that's not because I don't have coping skills. It's because the criminal abuse has been relentless, and the cry bullies who police either successfully or unsuccessfully try to charge me over are the irony is that on the one hand, these fucking psychopathic frauds, I'm being charged for harming them in ways that I'm told to go and see a mental health specialist about. Why not tell them to see a mental health specialist? The Harmful Digital Communications Act, Section 22, is one of the charges, which is posting a digital communication with the intention to cause harm, and for the charge to succeed in a trial, you need to show both torts and mens rea. And it's like, well, the tort side of it, it's like, hello, if it's a tort and it exists under criminal, like it's a criminal tort, then why the fuck do I have to see my counsellor, which I don't have? Why do I have to go and see my GP to get referred to a counsellor, for fuck's sake, about the criminal abuse I've been receiving from these particular cry bullies for ever since I've been in Christchurch? You know, why on one hand does one get taken seriously for her feelings, while my 5 suicide attempts are like, see your GP? And the problem is, like, my defence is a totally airtight, but I don't think lawyers know anything about the Evidence Act, and I don't think the judge does, because I was told that, because I keep talking about the Evidence Act, and they're like, oh, well, you know, because a victim impact statement, which, can anyone, I mean, you can just fucking just ask any fucking waitress in Hollywood to write one of those, you know, and that's taken as proof. Not supporting evidence, but proof that the person has been harmed. They can just write anything they want to. And I've been told that's what usually happens, and I'm like, but what about sections 38 and 40 of the Evidence Act, which is propensity and veracity? It's like, this person is clearly a fucking psychopath and clearly a liar. And you can tell that from the context, which you have to do under the Evidence Act. It's absolutely crazy, and I've actually been really, really good lately. Like, I've had ups and downs, and the ups and downs haven't been the, oh my god, the tragedies, or not the tragedies I should say, but the disasters and the fires I've had to put out and that kind of thing. And it hasn't been traipsing around town, sort of, you know, carting suitcases here and there to try and sort out my storage unit. There's a mouse in there, and it's been pulling and all through everything, so I've had to do a lot of laundry, and laundry is heavy, and wet laundry is heavy, and I've just been doing a lot, and I'm really exhausted. Like, I don't have downtime, and I don't have downtime. Yeah, this is not downtime either. I mean, sometimes I just get very angry, and it's not the kind of anger that's that really, like, revitalizing, rejuvenating anger that pulls you out of that energy deficit. It's the kind of anger that I have to, because I do have very, very, very advanced coping skills, and I'm very well trained. I have to move on from the source of that anger mentally very, very quickly, because and I can do that. The thing is that people think they can't control their thoughts. You can, but you have to put a lot of work and practice into it, and you've got to have methods, and I do. You know, like, it's funny that people go, oh, she won't take any advice, or she won't accept help, and it's like, dudes, I've been in and out of the mental health arena for 30 years. I first went in at 16 and diagnosed with depression. I'm 46 now. 30 years. I've been in and out psychiatrists, clinical psychologists, psychotherapists, counsellors, mental health nurses. It's like each one of them will give you tools. Do you think I've spent 30 fucking years training my fucking mind and emotions and ended up with no fucking knowledge about it? Like, why is that arrogant when I say I know all of this already? My coping skills and strategies are better than any mental health nurse that I've encountered. One or two have been very helpful in the moment because it's just connecting with a human and a human who listens, but mostly they don't listen, and mostly they just tell you what to do, and mostly they just ask you what you usually do when you're distressed, and then when you tell them they say, well, just do that, and it's like, oh, genius. So I am much better equipped to train mental health professionals than the other way around, and they are frankly disempowering in the main, and just a gigantic waste of my time. So what I want to move this out of the whole fucking mental health sphere and into the criminal sphere, which is mostly, as I've really kind of, it has become very clear to me because my brain's been quite like everything, my perceptions have been quite flat right in front of me. But then I've kind of, managed to have moments of clarity in this. I guess my natural joy is coming back. I've been feeling quite joyful, but very tearful sometimes, and very sad and grieving over I feel like I shouldn't I shouldn't name names at this stage, but I've been really grieving sometimes, and just so sad. Because I've had friends for a little while here and there, and I've really felt that they've been on my side, and it's just like I felt so lucky, so relieved, and I can't think about it too much that I don't have anybody and that I won't have anybody, because that's one of those things that you just can't go down there. That is just a fucking long drop to hell. And I'm not even talking about the fake friends, the predators who then attacked me and abused me and got me arrested. I'm just talking about the people who have come in and out briefly to say that they support me and for a bit, and then just dropped away. And and I'm just saying, like, not everything requires a response. Like, people can just say what's happening and what they're going through. Not everything needs a response. And it especially doesn't need an excuse for the behaviour of other people. Firstly, I'm not necessarily blaming that person. I'm just saying what they've done that's hurt me, whether or not they're morally responsible, because, it's hard to deal with a traumatised person. And secondly, don't fucking make excuses for people behaving badly if you're not going to make an excuse for me for behaving badly. It's got to go both ways. If you think I'm behaving badly by holding someone accountable for something bad they've done to me, then why the fuck are you fucking making excuses for somebody else? Let's say that we're both wrong. We'll make excuses for both of us, not just the fucking one of us. Let's just say that we're equally wrong. Make excuses for us both. You know, that's where I think that human evil is very sneakily represented or displayed, is when someone discloses abuse or heartache or heartbreak or devastation, and someone else makes an excuse for the other person, whether or not an accusation was involved in the disclosure of the trauma or the abuse, you know, which, I mean, generally abuse is defined as something that's deliberate, but secondary abuse, which is not intended, it's just ignorant and often quite arrogant, because they just don't listen to the person who's actually experiencing the thing. And I do really long for somebody to be in my life. But I could never. Like, God, this is like that cliche, and I see now the cliche is just the top of the iceberg, you know. Oh, I don't want to get involved with anybody because I'm afraid of being hurt. It's such a cliche, but that cliche is just at the tip of the iceberg, and I'm experiencing what the bottom of the iceberg is, because it's so hard to lose solidarity. But but since, you know, I saw Tommy in that day, and, you know, I've had bad days since, and I've had very bad moments, and I still cry. But mostly I feel like my joys, you know, taking control again, and I feel really good, and my wish for my quality of life to degenerate to the point that, you know, giving it up would be easy is not on the cards now. Every day, or say 6 days out of 7, I will spend some time problem solving what failed in my previous 5 attempts, and feeling despair that I'm going to be able to figure out what went wrong, because, you know, I don't have medical training, and, you know, it's like people trying to cure themselves, and they go and buy a fucking, you know, if they've got a cold, they get a expectorant and a cough suppressant, you know. It's like, because they want to, like, cover all bases, but what they're doing is they're just doing to opposing forces. So it's just like, do you want the phlegm to come out or not? Because an expectorant will get it out and a suppressant will keep it in. So, you know, if you're not covering both bases, you are just simply causing a stalemate. And the thing is that, you know, like, I don't want to hit my body with a whole fucking bunch of different stuff, because I don't know You know, like I could be taking the antidote to something without knowing. And I'm not gonna try medications again. Um, uh, but it would have to be somewhere in the realm of chemistry. And the kind of chemistry that I'm aware of that's fatal is all too easy. But again, I don't want to just like become unconscious and maybe with severe chemical burns all down my fucking digestive tract. Maybe like my lips burned off or something and then wake up, you know, like there are just these fucking, you know, Angelina Jolie claimed, and I'm not, I've never been a fan of hers. I've never found her beautiful. I mean, I can see that she's absolutely stunning, but I've never felt her beauty. I've never really liked her as a person. I felt her to be quite fake. Like she says, oh, if it weren't for my Hollywood job, I would have like, you know, a #1 haircut and I'd be covered in tattoos. And it's like, you could, there are loads of people like that in Hollywood anyway. Like there's makeup and wigs, and you've got the most fucking coiffed fucking 90s Timotei fucking newsreader do a fucking scene. Like, don't fucking give me that kind of bullshit, you know. But I found her more sincere. I think people grow up, you know. She said those things when she's a lot younger. She's a little bit older than me, probably 48. She's got a lot of kids. You know, she's been married now, well, a few times, I guess. And I believe her when she said that she was so miserable in a marriage with Brad Pitt that she wanted to kill herself, but she couldn't do that to her kids, so I think she was actually researching how to, like, get a hit, you know, like, how to hire someone to kill her, you know, just to sort of be out and about, I suppose, and just be a mark, just like anybody else. So her death would devastate her children, but the suicide wouldn't, you know. And I just feel like, fuck, man, I want an expert to do this, because the way things are going is that Ministry of Justice isn't going to follow any of the laws it administers. And I am tired of being victimised. And it's not you know, Ministry of Justice's failure at even basic attempts at justice is not significant only in itself. It's significant as in, here you go, Caitlin, if you ever wanted absolute proof that your life is going to continue to be hell and actually become more and more hellish in ways that you wouldn't even believe, because that keeps happening, and I've known that it's going to keep happening in ways that I couldn't believe, and then next week it does happen in something that I didn't expect, like being discharged from the hospital at 11:30 at night and told by, I'm assuming, or I've been told as a social worker, that I have to go out and sleep on the street at hospital at 11:30 p.m. because I'd been medically cleared, but I was still really groggy and I was really helpless, and they told me I had to go out on the street to sleep. I mean, that's something I could not have foreseen. But this shit just keeps happening, right? And any minute, I just don't know when the next thing's going to happen. And that's happening out in the wild here. But it looks like it's just going to be endorsed in captivity, as it were. Possibly literally. I mean, I don't know. I did quip, but not as a joke, to my fourth fucking legal aid lawyer. Like, I think corrections owes me a fucking home after all of the shit that, its predecessors and the chain of logistics have put me through. I think it fucking owes me a home now, and I hope I get a few years in prison, because I'm pretty much guaranteed not getting kicked out, right? And she said, oh no, that won't be likely at all, no, that's not going to happen. And it's like, right, does that mean I'm not going to get a prison sentence, or does that mean that I'm going to go to prison for a few months and then come out with nothing? Because they do insane shit, like they do, like because I'm on a benefit, and obviously when you're in prison you can't work, and I think you can earn you can earn money in there, or something like $2.75 an hour or something, doing your little bits and pieces. But you come out destitute, and I think they give you something like $300, and then they just send you off. And then we go, why the recidivism? It's like, number one, because you've given them no way to fucking support themselves but go back to doing what they were doing before, if it was lucrative, a burglary and so forth. Or they simply have no fucking other way to fucking be sheltered and commit a crime just to go back in, and that's seriously crossed my mind, and I wouldn't, it's not in me to harm someone, but there's lots of, you can, like the only thing that could give me a prison sentence is the threat that I made to basically get this under the criminal court spotlight. Well, I can do that again. I can make another threat. I can make a threat that police prosecution can't keep lower than as low as they like. I mean, they don't want to make. I mean, what they should have charged me with is a threat to harm, but they didn't. Like a threat to they should have charged me under Crimes Act, which had a high sentence, but they didn't do that. They have their reasons, and I know what those reasons are, because I don't think they want to expose themselves to that level, and I think they think that they're not going to expose themselves with the charge that they've given me. And if any lawyer or judge behaves themselves and follows the law, I mean, so many laws, including specific to Ministry of Justice and to the Crimes Act, then they should have charged me with a much more serious crime. But what they have charged me, and I've written to police prosecution saying, why didn't you charge me with that? And I've copied in court. No, they don't want to. They can't think of anything else about it. Well, yeah, you can, but you're being dodgy fucks. You don't want to bite off more than you can chew, but you have, you see. And I should take a little bit of heart in that, really, because I wouldn't be having the fucking filth coming down on me like this if they weren't frightened of what I was going to expose. And I can see if you're watching police prosecution, and it'll be interesting to see if you change your charge. The thing is that there's the Evidence Act, and you need to look at the Evidence Act and realise that I can bring a lot of stuff that you thought the judge wouldn't allow as on the basis that it's irrelevant. That's very relevant, and it's about her, and it's about me, and our respective propensities and veracity. But I think much, 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 much more is at stake than even I can imagine. But anyway, I did want to say that I've had some really nice experiences lately, and just really nice sort of communal experiences with humans, and the bus drivers in Christchurch are lovely, and there have been so many lovely bus drivers, and I keep trying to memorise like the bus number and the time and stuff. Like there have just been such nice bus drivers, like because I've been like hauling heavy suitcases on and off buses. Like again, it's just stuff that I can barely lift. Like and it's harder to get it off a bus than it is on a bus often, and it slides around. And I've just had bus drivers who have carried it off for me, who have driven me further down the road, that to find a plausible place that they can stop the bus so they can get off a bit closer to home or a bit closer to where I want to be. They've just been lovely, just lovely people. They've just been, I just had some really lovely, lovely, lovely experiences, and I had a really nice conversation with a guy who sort of busks, but playing like an electronic piano, and he's got like a working dog, because he's I don't think he has any sight, and he has and I've seen him a few times, and I approached him today and just had a bit of a chat and learned a lot about guide dogs. Just like having cool conversations with people and learning about people and new things, and that's my social life, and it's okay, like it keeps me going, and it's at just the right level for me really, because I don't want to burst any bubbles to think that I want to keep the goodwill and the camaraderie. I want to keep it in reason. I don't want to take it any further, and find out the truth. It's nice to be liked. No, I haven't. Well, I've made a point of not putting much stock in that for quite a long time, because, and it's not denial, it's just like, look dude, you're just going to move on from that. That's not part of your life. and also I'm very happy in my own company, but the loneliness of being abused in plain sight but no one can see, it's just like being haunted or possessed. But I'm going to have a nice evening. And Christmas tomorrow, I'm going to have a nice Christmas, but I'll be doing things that I want to do. There's nobody I want to see. I won't be feeling sorry for myself, not being with anyone. It seems really pitiful, but it's not. You know, like Robin Williams and all sorts of other people said, you know, I feel loneliest around people, you know, the people that I get to see, that are available to me. And yeah, I feel like I'm making a lot of progress, and I don't know how long my life is going to be. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know how desperate things are going to get. But I'm not. I probably wouldn't mind being in prison, but I'm not going to live on the street. And I'm not going to keep having no home anywhere. And I'm not going to be eternally abused and have the police either ignore me, tell me off, or arrest and charge me, you know, like that's not a life. I don't think you need to have I don't think any of that says a mental health problem. I don't think spending the second half of your life, because I'm in middle age now, I don't think spending your second half of your life in chronic victimhood and homelessness, I don't think objecting to that and not wanting to be around for that, I don't think that's a mental health problem at all. I think that's just being pragmatic and brave. Happy pagan holiday.